This is all for instance. I've measured my foot, and my foot measured 11 inches. Okay, so and across the bar heels I have 3 inches. So I'm going to produce a bar shoe with a 3-inch bar. So I'm going to take it at halfway at 14 inches. Because I was at 11, I added the 3 back for the bar. So I have 14 inches of stock. Center is 7 inches. I'm going to put a little offset in it. Medial lateral. I'm going to do about 1/8 of an inch. I'm not going to draw it that much. And I set this. I like to always put the center punch mark as close to the edge as I can get it. You can see it from that direction. I turn it around, you can still see it. So no matter which way this is in the fire, this is my long side. Now I'm going to measure in 1.5 inches from each side. On the outside of the shoe, I'm going to mark it because I want to be able to see those marks. Every shoe is turned exactly the same way, no matter what it is. So a modification will be added to that shoe. Modifications are always either in the toe or in the heels. So when I want to put that modification into that scheme of just a normal bending of the shoe, do I need to prepare a heel before or after? And I do it, so I'm always thinking of either way. Right? Do I need a modification in the toe? Usually before I turn the toe. If it's a square toe, it may be part of the turn. That sort of thing. So it's when do I stick it into my scheme of turning a normal shoe? Just a plain stamped shoe. So when does that happen? But all the steps otherwise are exactly the same. So in this instance, we're building a bar shoe. So I have a modification in the heels. I have a bar to deal with and a weld. But all the other movements previous to that can be just a normal shoe. So I'm just going to prep this out as though it was normal. I'm going to fuller this shoe, and usually, whether fuller or not, I like to put a little something into the toe. So I'm going to give it a little bump. I'm going to quench it off. There's my mark, even from either side. You can see it starting to widen out. See, give me just a little bit of width. I was bumping. That material's not laying flat on the anvil. I'm picking it up just a little bit and slamming it in so that I get some response back from this anvil. Otherwise it would just go dead and I would only upset on one side. I want a little something back. So the kick, as it hits the anvil, kicks it back to me a little bit. Hopefully it comes out even. That extra width that I produce now will compensate for my toe bend. As you make a toe bend, you can weaken up the shoe all by its lonesome without it. All you have to do is bend a piece of stock. It stretches on the outside, upsets on the inside. By the time that you smooth it all out, your toe is thinner than the rest of the shoe in both dimensions. So you want to put something there to compensate for this bend I'm about to make. As we go through the course of this, I like to try to maintain control of the shape of this thing from start to finish. And so nothing that I'm going to do is going to be with large gaps involved. So even when I make my toe bend, it's going to be small gaps so I can control. If I stick a shoe out here over the horn and I hit it, my hammer is coming in at an angle. And the first thing that happens is not only bends this way, but it also bends this way. Well, that's something I have to fix later. I don't want to go back and fix. I just want it to happen. So I want total control over this as much as I possibly can. So when I come out, there's my toe mark. Flat, pick it up, drop my hammer. Boom, straight into the stock. Boom. Boom. Just keep picking up, creating small gaps. Boom, 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 boom. I can come back this side of that or stay on that side. There's a trick that happens. And you saw it just happen right there. I have more heat here than I have here. Halfway between my tongs and where it's resting on the anvil, it will bend. If the heat's available. I can hit it here all I want, it will continue to bend right there. So I have to watch out for that. You see, it didn't bend at all whatsoever in here because I had too much heat. My heat was not even through the piece. That's a good thing to show because it happens a lot. The heat's uneven and you start working on a piece, it's going to start bending someplace that you don't want it to bend all the time. So it's important that your heat's even through that piece so that you achieve what you want to achieve. Now my heat's more even through the piece. Looks a lot better. I can do the same thing again. I can go so far, I can turn it around and utilize that principle that it's going to bend halfway between my tongs and where it rests on the anvil. I'm going to find where I just built that toe. I'm going to get it nice and tight to the horn. Continue it around. So when this comes 90 degrees, I still have a gap right there. And I can set it a little. I'll turn it around. Same thing on the other side. That's a pretty critical move. Finding that and having that toe match that entire radius. Both sides. Not quite right. It's important to get this radius where you want it. Now I have a little more on this side than I have on this side. And I can tell because my ends, one end is down past the other side of the anvil, the other isn't. So I know my toe is off right now. So I don't want to continue. Until I fix that. And I'm going to come back and try to fix this. Not this one. And down. Check again. Better. There you go. Let me get this disturbed all over the place, you guys. Okay, this is better. Now I've established my toe. I had an 1/8 of an inch offset in it, but now I'm even with that there, and I have just a little bit there. I can live with that. That'll work. All right. So now my toe mark is right here. I'm trying to proportion that so I have a straight line down through that. And it's 90 degrees to this edge of the anvil. That's my layout. Now I'm going to take my layout tool and come in, line that up with that mark and the edges of this anvil. Scribe a small line on each side. And that's going to tell me exactly where to start my fullering. So, put that corner of the fuller on there and throw it on the ground. This side as well. Inside edge of the fuller. Mark. Okay, now I'm marked. I'm just going to mark my fullering out. Okay. And I think we can also mark out this one. I'm going to go back to the horn. I'm going to find where that spot is. I start my fullering. I do not want to take this hammer and make a below this side of the end of that fullering. All the blows are that side. Yes, but I'm just going to rest it right on there. Push that straight down in. Like so. Pushing in about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to come to the flat. Push it in and taper as I go out. Alright, I'm going to grab it like that. I'm going to push this in to that horn. You can see my mark that I made for 1.5 inches. And I'm lining that mark up with the back side of the horn. I hit that corner. Come right back to it, hit the corner. Hit the corner. Don't move the shoe. Hit the corner, hit the corner. Okay, there's my mark. There's the edge. Line up that mark. Push it over. Okay. If I was to take this, hold it like that with that shoe straight out and hit that over, it'll bend back here. Okay, it just bows the whole branch. And I don't want the branch to bow just yet. I want to get solid on this hockey stick I'm about to make. So by creating this line, I take all this out of the equation because I'm hitting that corner and this stays straight. And I want that to stay straight. If my branch bends, I have to fight that to get down to my mark again. So I'm going to line up. My mark's way up here. I'm going to pick this up, hit straight into it. I'm solid. Boom. There's my mark right there. See where my flat's coming into it? Right up to my mark. Back to my mark. Up to my mark. Material in. I'm trying to establish the point of my heel. Right there. Up. Up. Can you see it? Mark, mark. So now I've established exactly where the heel of that shoe's going to be. And I have 1.5 inches from my mark to the edge. Okay. Now, turn my branch. Okay. Same thing up here, find my mark, line it up. See how that branch stayed straight? Up. You don't need a ton of this stuff. Not important to gob it on there. Just want to make sure it melts in like that. Coat all the spots. That'll look good. You notice I didn't put any scarf on it? My scarf is going to come after I've welded it together. I have the branch to me on the upside, so my hammer blow is going to be forward and throwing it into the opposite side. What I'm going to look for here in the fire, that I get an even heat in both branches, and that my heat comes up as slow as I can. I want it to soak up so it's penetrating through both pieces of steel. Then I'm going to watch my color. When it starts to disappear or blend in with my eye into the rest of the fire, I will be at a welding heat, which is right about there. Into the other side, into the other. Now use the back side of my hammer and smear it down into the other side. Turn it, shear it down. Hammer's hitting flat, so it's smearing it in there. I like that. I'll give myself a little wash. Sprinkling this stuff on your shoe also helps to remove any unwanted scale that's stuck into that area. I'm going to go back and take another welding heat, nice and slow. I know the two pieces stuck together from the get-go because my colors never changed. I never saw one go darker than another side. So I know I hit it, I nailed it. That's always a comfortable feeling. And watching my color. That was the flux coming off. Smear it, smear it. Blend, blend. Now, I'm going to go for this point. One side. Other side. And there's a little move you can do. You drop the shoe down. And you work your way up to the other side. And you're concentrating on the point of the bar. As it goes up, one tap there. Turn it around. Drop it down. Push that point up. Tap there. There we go. And we are 3 inches from heel to heel. Exactly what we wanted to be. Now this whole bar shoe is all roughed in. It's there. We know we have everything there. Measurements are all great. So now you can come back and do all your finish and clean up and playing around with it. You can play some more with this bar and that move that we made just now. Clean up your fullering, punch, do everything. But the shoe is basically done. Another thing is maintaining thickness across the bar, inside out, and and you don't thin it away someplace. But making sure that you can maintain all the way through that shoe. In most feet, the medial heel is going to be a little bit shorter than the lateral. Okay? So build a bar shoe that's even across the way. You're going to have all this stuff hanging out the medial side. Well, that isn't what you want. So a bar shoe that goes on a foot is completely different than one that goes on the table over there. You know, it's no longer symmetrical. It's a little shorter. The bar may be at a little slight angle even. The toe may be off ever so slightly to compensate. Now, this is a little trick from Craig Trinka. You notice I switched my fuller back to the opposite direction. Also dropped in my size. This is a 7/8, this is a 3/4. Right, so it's a little bit narrower. It goes around this radius without disturbing the radius. But in this method, I'm looking at the edges of my fullering. So if I see a spot that doesn't look quite so smooth, I can place it in there, lean it, push it to that spot, and tap it. And I can clean up that line till I have it exactly the way I want it. If I need to pull back this way, I can pull the fuller back and kind of pop it to myself. And I find that doing it in that perpendicular is easier than trying to push that way or that way. Not to say it couldn't be done that way, but I find it easier just the way Craig was doing it. And that the way he fullers. That's the deal, I guess. You can, every person you watch build something. Every person, every clinician, whatever. You go to a contest, you watch other guys, you can learn something from everybody. You'll see one little thing that they're doing that you think, oh, and it'll, like, what's that? Light bulb. They go, why didn't I think of that? But just watching that, when you watch Craig manipulate that fuller and how smooth and clean and crisp his fullering is, you know there's something to it. It's really good stuff. Irregardless of whether this is a contest or you're going for certification, you want these lines. You want these lines to be right. You want your examiner at the certification or your judge at the contest. You don't want their eye to catch something that looks really funky, and it's not, because that's where their eye will stay. The shoe could be absolutely impeccable except for this one little spot, but their eye will keep going back to it. And they'll gig you for it. You just want things to be smooth. Boogering. They're boogering. That'll work. work just fine. If I set it up across the toe, you'll see that my medial branch is a little bit shorter than my lateral branch. That's exactly the way I set it up.